Two interesting coins from different parts of the world are getting attention from collectors today. The first is the 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin with a claimed value of $99. The second is the 2004 Australian 10 cents coin with a claimed value of $5.5 million. But are these values realistic? Let us take a closer look. The 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin comes from an important period in Hong Kong history. At that time, Hong Kong was still a British colony and the coin featured Queen Elizabeth II on the front. The reverse shows a crowned lion along with the denomination and Chinese characters. The coin was made from copper nickel and was produced for everyday circulation. Because a large number were produced, ordinary circulated examples are generally not considered extremely rare. However, conditioned varieties and genuine mint errors can make particular examples more interesting to collectors. The $99 figure should therefore not be considered a guaranteed value for every 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin. A well-preserved example or an unusual variety could attract more attention. Always check the condition and compare your coin with reliable references before deciding its value. Now let us look at the 2004 Australian 10 cents coin. This coin features Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and the famous Australian lyrebird on the reverse. The lyrebird design has been used on the Australian 10 cents denomination for decades and gives the coin a strong connection with Australian wildlife. The coin is made from copper nickel and was produced as normal circulating currency. The claimed $5.5 million value is an extraordinary figure and should not be treated as the normal value of a 2004 Australian 10 cents coin. Ordinary examples are generally worth modest amounts. A very high value would require something exceptional such as a rare authenticated minting error or an extremely scarce variety. If you own either coin, inspect it carefully. Check the date. Look at the designs. Examine the edge and surfaces for unusual features. Do not clean the coin because polishing can damage its original surface. Also remember that an online asking price does not prove what a coin is actually worth. Confirmed sales and professional authentication are much more reliable. Both coins are fascinating pieces of history. The 1980 Hong Kong dollar represents an important period in Hong Kong's past, while the 2004 Australian 10 cents coin represents Australia's decimal currency and unique wildlife. Their claimed values may sound incredible, but the real value depends on the exact condition, rarity, and characteristics of each individual coin. So before you spend an old coin, take a closer look. You may have an ordinary collectible, or you may have something unusual that deserves further investigation. Stay connected with Old Coin Vault for more fascinating coins and hidden discoveries from around the world. If you have an old Hong Kong $1 coin dated 1980 sitting in a drawer or hidden away in an old coin collection, then you may want to take a closer look before spending it. At first glance, this coin may look like an ordinary piece of pocket change from another time. But old coins can become interesting collectibles because their value is connected to history, condition, rarity, demand, and the story behind the coin. Today we are taking a detailed look at the 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin, and we will explore its history, design, metal composition, size, mintage, collecting interest, and the reason some examples can attract much more attention than their original face value. In this video we are also going to discuss the often mentioned $99 value and what you should understand before assuming that every 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin is worth that amount. The 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin belongs to an important period in Hong Kong monetary history. Hong Kong was still a British colony in 1980, and the coin carries the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This makes the coin especially interesting for collectors who enjoy coins connected with the history of Hong Kong and the British Commonwealth. The coin was part of a circulation series that used the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. The portrait was designed by British engraver Arnold McKim. On the front of the coin, Queen Elizabeth II is shown facing right. Around the portrait are the words Queen Elizabeth II. This portrait is one of the most recognizable features of the series and immediately helps collectors identify the historical period represented by the coin. Turn the coin over and you will find a completely different design. The reverse features a crown lion standing upright. The design also includes Hong Kong markings and the denomination $1 along with Chinese characters. The year 1980 appears as an important identifying feature. The combination of English and Chinese lettering gives the coin a distinctive Hong Kong character. It is one of the reasons these coins are appealing to collectors who specialize in Asian coins, British colonial coins, and world circulation currency. The 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin was made from copper nickel. This is an alloy commonly used for circulation coins because it provides good durability and resistance to everyday wear. The coin weighs approximately 7.1 grams. It measures about 25.5 millimeters across and has a thickness of approximately 1.9 millimeters. The edge is reeded, which means that small grooves run around the outside edge of the coin. These physical characteristics can be useful when identifying the coin and checking whether a piece is genuine. The coin was produced at the Royal Mint in Lantricent in the United Kingdom. According to catalog information, approximately 100 million examples were produced for the 1980 issue. That number is extremely important when discussing value because a large mintage generally means that the ordinary circulated examples are not automatically rare. This is where many new collectors make a mistake. They see a coin that is more than 40 years old and assume that age alone makes it valuable. In reality, age is only one part of the story. A coin can be old and still be common. Another coin can be much younger and become valuable because of rarity, condition, and unusual variety, a minting error, or strong collector demand. The 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin is therefore a good example of why collectors need to look beyond the date. The condition of the coin can make a major difference. A heavily circulated example may show scratches, surface marks, dirt, discoloration, and wear on the highest points of the design. The portrait of Queen Elizabeth II may become less detailed after years of circulation. The lion on the reverse can also lose some of its finer details. These characteristics normally indicate that the coin has experienced significant use. On the other hand, a coin that has been carefully preserved may have much sharper details. The original surfaces may be better protected and the lettering can remain crisp. Collectors generally pay more attention to coins with strong eye appeal and higher grades. Coins in uncirculated condition can therefore be more desirable than heavily worn examples. But there is another important point that every collector should remember. A coin should not be cleaned simply because you want it to look brighter. Cleaning can damage the original surface and may reduce collector interest. Artificially polished coins can sometimes look shiny, but experienced collectors may immediately recognize that the original surface has been altered. If you find a 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin, you should normally handle it carefully and avoid harsh chemicals, polishing cloths, or abrasive materials. Hold the coin by its edges and keep it in a suitable holder if you want to preserve it. Now let us talk about the $99 value connected with this coin. A value of $99 can be used as an attention-grabbing figure for a particular example or a high-end asking price, but it should not be interpreted as a guaranteed value for every 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin. Current catalog information shows that ordinary 1980 examples can have much lower indicative values depending on condition. Numista lists approximately 100 million coins for the 1980 issue and gives indicative values ranging from only a small amount for circulated examples to around a few dollars for uncirculated examples. These figures are based on user evaluations and online sales data and are not guarantees of what every coin will sell for. This means that if someone tells you that every 1980 Hong Kong $1 coin is automatically worth $99, you should be cautious. The real value depends on the exact coin and its condition. So why would someone potentially ask $99 for an example? The answer could involve exceptional preservation, a scarce variety, an unusual minting error, a special provenance, or simply a strong collector market for a specific piece. When a coin has a genuine error, the situation can change dramatically. Errors can include striking problems, off-center strikes, doubled features, wrong planchets, or other unusual production characteristics. However, you should never assume that every strange-looking mark is a valuable mint error. Damage caused after the coin left the mint is much more common than a genuine minting error. A professional evaluation can help determine whether an unusual feature is actually significant. Another factor is eye appeal. Two coins from the same year can look completely different. One may be scratched and darkened from decades of circulation, while another may have sharp details and attractive original surfaces. Collectors often prefer coins that look clean, naturally preserved, and well struck. Strong examples can receive much more attention than ordinary pieces, even when the date and denomination are identical. The historical background also gives this coin additional collecting appeal. The 1980 issue belongs to the final decades of British colonial Hong Kong coinage. Queen Elizabeth II appeared on Hong Kong coins for many years, and her portraits provide a visual timeline of the territory's monetary history. For collectors, this means that the coin is not simply a piece of metal. It is a small historical object connected to a specific political, economic, and cultural period. Imagine holding this coin and thinking about where it may have traveled after it was produced. It could have passed through shops, markets, transportation systems, and households in Hong Kong during the early 1980s. It may have been used many times before eventually being placed into a collection. That journey is part of what makes old coins fascinating. The original face value was $1 Hong Kong dollar, but decades later collectors can look at the same object from an entirely different perspective. If you are searching through an old family collection, there are several things you should check. First, confirm the date. Make sure the coin actually says 1980. Next, inspect the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II and compare the lettering with known examples. Then examine the reverse design and check the Lion Chinese characters, denomination, and date. Look carefully at the edge and make sure the reading appears normal. After that, inspect the surfaces under good lighting. Imagine finding a small Australian coin in an old jar or forgotten collection and discovering that collectors are interested in its history and condition. Today we are taking a close look at the Australian 10-cents coin dated 2004. This coin may look like ordinary pocket change, but its design, history, production details, and possible varieties make it an interesting piece for collectors. Some online claims suggest an extraordinary value of $5.5 million for a 2004 Australian 10-cents coin. But before you believe that number, you need to understand what actually determines the value of a coin. A normal circulated 2004 Australian 10-cents coin is not automatically worth millions of dollars. A spectacular valuation would require an exceptional circumstance such as a major authenticated minting error, an extraordinary rarity, or another feature that makes a specific example extremely desirable to collectors. So today we are going to examine this coin carefully and explain what you should look for before deciding whether your 2004 Australian 10-cents coin deserves a closer investigation. The Australian 10-cent coin has an interesting place in the country's decimal currency system. Australia introduced decimal currency in 1966, and the 10-cent denomination became one of the important circulating coins used by Australians every day. The basic design of the Australian 10-cent coin has remained recognisable for decades. The reverse features the famous lyrebird. The lyrebird is one of Australia's most remarkable native birds, and its inclusion on the coin gives the denomination a strong connection to Australian wildlife and national identity. The bird is shown with its distinctive tail feathers raised behind it. The design was created by Australian artist and coin designer Stuart Devlin. His work appears on several Australian decimal coins and helped establish a distinctive visual identity for Australia's new decimal currency. When you look closely at the reverse of the 2004 10-cent coin, you can see the detailed feathers of the lyrebird. The denomination 10 cents is also clearly displayed. The level of detail in such a small design demonstrates how much information can be placed on a coin that many people might casually overlook. Turn the coin over and you will see the obverse design featuring Queen Elizabeth II. In 2004, Australia was a constitutional monarchy, and Australian circulating coins carried the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. The portrait used on this period of Australian coinage was designed by Ian Rank Broadley. His initials can be found on the coin near the base of the portrait. The inscription includes Elizabeth II and Australia along with the year 2004. This combination of the monarch's portrait and the Australian national identity makes the coin an interesting historical snapshot of Australia during the early 21st century. The 2004 Australian 10-cent coin is made primarily from cupro-nickel. This alloy is composed of copper and nickel and was selected for its durability and resistance to corrosion. The coin has a diameter of approximately 23.6 millimeters and weighs about 5.65 grams. Its edge is reeded, which means it has small grooves running around the circumference. These specifications are useful when identifying the coin and checking whether an unusual example may actually be genuine. One of the biggest questions collectors ask is how many 2004 10-cent coins were produced. Mintage figures are important because rarity is one of the major factors that can influence a coin's value. Australia produced large numbers of 10-cent coins for circulation, and the 2004 issue was not created as a limited edition collectible coin. This means that the ordinary 2004 example found in circulation is generally common. But there is an important difference between a common coin and an unusual individual example. A common coin can still become interesting if it has a genuine minting error or an extremely unusual variety. This is where your inspection becomes important. If you find a 2004 Australian 10-cent coin, you should first examine the date and denomination. Make sure the year is clearly 2004. Then inspect the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II and the lyrebird design. Look closely at the lettering and the edge. Pay attention to anything that appears different from a normal example. A genuine mint error can sometimes be visible as an unusual strike or missing design element. Some errors happen when a blank planchet is struck incorrectly. Others can occur when a die becomes damaged or when the coin is struck more than once. There can also be off-center strikes where the design is not properly centered on the blank. These types of errors can be interesting to collectors because they were created during the manufacturing process rather than being caused by damage after the coin entered circulation. However, this is also where coin collectors need to be extremely careful. Many marks that look like errors are actually damage caused by machines, other coins, tools, or years of circulation. A scratch is not automatically a mint error. A dent is not automatically a rare variety. A damaged edge does not automatically make the coin valuable. Before assigning a huge value to an unusual coin, it is important to have the feature examined by a knowledgeable professional or reputable grading service. Now let us address the $5.5 million valuation. A claim that a 2004 Australian 10-cent coin is worth $5.5 million should be treated as an extraordinary claim rather than the normal market value of this coin. There is no reason to assume that every 2004 Australian 10-cent coin is worth millions. In fact, ordinary examples generally have values close to their face value when circulated. Even uncirculated examples may sell for modest amounts unless they have something special that creates additional collector demand. A multi-million-dollar valuation would require extraordinary evidence. If someone claims to have a $5.5 million example, then the coin would need to be authenticated and its unique characteristics documented. There would also need to be credible evidence of market demand or a confirmed transaction supporting such a valuation. Asking prices on internet marketplaces are not proof of actual value. Anyone can list a coin for a huge amount, but that does not mean a collector has actually paid that amount. This is one of the most important lessons for anyone interested in valuable coins. Always separate an asking price from a confirmed selling price. The condition of your coin is another major factor. A heavily circulated 2004 10-cent coin may show scratches, surface wear, and loss of detail. The highest points of the lyrebird design can become smoother after years of handling. The Queen Elizabeth II portrait may also show noticeable wear. On the other hand, a coin that has been carefully stored since 2004 may retain much sharper details and better original surfaces. Uncirculated coins can be more desirable because they have not experienced normal circulation. But condition alone does not turn an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar rarity. A coin still needs rarity demand or another special characteristic to justify an extraordinary price. Collectors should also be careful with cleaning. If you find an old Australian coin that looks dirty or dark, do not immediately polish it. Cleaning can create scratches and remove the original surface. Collectors often prefer coins with natural surfaces rather than coins that have been aggressively polished. If you want to preserve the coin, keep it in a suitable holder and handle it by the edges. Avoid unnecessary contact with the surfaces. Another interesting part of this coin is its connection to Australian wildlife. The lyrebird is famous for its remarkable ability to imitate sounds. It can reproduce the calls of other birds and can even imitate certain artificial sounds. That makes the lyrebird an especially memorable choice for an Australian coin. The design is not simply decorative. It represents part of Australia's natural heritage and gives the coin a connection to the country that produced it. This is one reason world coin collectors often enjoy collecting Australian decimal currency. Each denomination features different